the top. Here we are.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Peggy Allen.
And I'm Amanda Keevett, and you're watching
The Junction Fiber Mill Millcast on remote.
Yes, you're going to see some flip-flopping locations today for reasons we'll get to later.
We'll get to it later.
Anyways.
But right now we have a green, it's not poison ivy, I don't know what it is, behind us.
Yeah.
And yeah, did you have a good weekend?
God, it feels forever ago. I did, and I feel like
Labor
I had
Day
a
weekend.
note. It was Labor Day weekend. Oh yes, I have a video from the playground, which is where I took the kids while I had them both on Monday, Labor Day, by myself. And we went to 2 playgrounds. It's so much fun. So I will actually cut to it because the audio is really cute. So that's what we did on Labor Day.
Adorable.
How was your weekend?
We were in Saratoga for a good chunk of it. I'm one of there's 6 of us. I have 5 siblings, and we all gathered with our partners in Saratoga. And we got early in the morning and got coffee, and we were at the Saratoga racetrack. And so that's the Saratoga racetrack you're looking at. And you get to see the horses sort of getting warmed up. And that's a picture of me and my 2 sisters, Eileen and Liza. And in the back there, you can see my brother Phil. He's the one that lives in Saratoga. We had a great time. The weather was great. We all get along, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Happy to hear it. I think we should talk first.
Yeah.
Because we later have a very long something to share with you. I think first we should talk about what we're launching this week, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. I'm really excited. All right.
Okay, I got to put the...
Get your thinking minds onto the next major holiday.
No, I want this. Oh,
yeah.
Look at this.
Check
this out. Check
oh
this
God,
out.
Now the name of the pattern is escaping me. It's from Andrew Mowry. It's the brioche hat that everyone is knitting.
Yeah,
it is
and here's,
so fun.
Check out the other side.
It's reversible.
Oh, man.
Okay, so this is the deal. This week we are launching something to get you in the Halloween spirit. Oh my God, I'm so excited to say it. Okay, trick or sheep.
Trick or sheep.
Look at that sheep. Okay, it's not a surprise bag. I know we've used these in the past for surprise bags.
Now you can see the sheep a little better. So it's a sheep with a sheet over it.
But this time we're going to show you what you get.
So it's in a costume.
It's in a costume. It's so
we're coming up on Halloween.
Yeah. Okay, so this is our Halloween bundle.
Yeah.
It is going to be Brat, DK. You haven't seen that in a minute. And then our vampire in DK for the first time ever. And it's enough yarn to make yourself a Halloween hat. We have this for knitters. We also have a crochet pattern to recommend. But if you like brioche and you want to stand out from the crowd on Halloween trick-or-treating.
Yeah, if you want to make a statement. How adorable is that?
Okay.
We had a lot of fun.
Well, there's something else in this bag, too. You want to reach in?
Oh, I forgot. Wait a minute, I got 2. Oh, yeah. Because it's Halloween, you got to get a little candy.
All right, we have
Red Kite Candy caramels. These are the best caramels in the world.
They're so good. You're going to get 6 caramels from our neighbors over at Red Kite Candy. They're going to be delicious. They're going to start your seasonal sweet tooth off.
Yeah.
Those things are the premium caramels. So you're going to get the pattern suggestion card to get you in the right place to buy the pattern for the hat, plus the skeins of yarn in this adorable trick-or-sheet bag, which is only available during this bundle.
Very fun.
Yes, I'm really
excited. And when is this now available?
Today at 10 o'clock.
Today
Tuesday.
at 10 o'clock. You got to love it.
You got to love it. Limited edition. Check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go to the clip?
To the clip.
All right, we're going to see you over at Town Hall for our Ask Me Anything segment, and thank you very much for your questions. Okay, here we are on the Hartford Town Hall. I have my knitting.
And I have mine.
You have yours. We have our Florence sweaters we're working on for the knit along.
Yeah.
And we are going to be doing a very special Ask Us Anything, our first ever.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll do more of these at some point, but...
Well, we got an awful lot of questions. I don't know that there'll be any left to ask after we get through the...
I will say we're not going to answer 100% of the questions that came in just for time, because there were a lot. So thank you guys all for writing in.
Yeah, it was fun to see them all.
Yeah. Should we dive in? Well, who are you?
Oh, I'm Peggy Allen.
And I'm Amanda. And we're the co-owners of Junction Fiber Mill.
Junction Fiber Mill in White River Junction, Vermont. Yeah, and we are in our 5th year.
We're in our 5th year.
Pretty exciting.
It is 6th year by some measures, but that's a different story.
Fair enough. Yep. If you want to go technical on the legal front, yeah.
Okay, so let's just dive into questions.
Yep.
First of all,
yeah,
I have some big picture questions that we got for us.
All right.
The first one that I have is, what advice would you give to someone who would love to own a mill someday? What do you wish you knew before you started, and do you think our country could benefit from more mills?
That's a big question.
Emphatic yes to the last question there. Do you think the country, that's my opinion. I think right now we have to turn down sheep farmers who need their wool processed all the time because we don't have capacity in our mill.
From a custom processing, that is taking the raw wool from sheep farmers or people who buy the wool at a fiber festival, oh man, we need more mills. And if you look at it across the state, there's some folks that there are no mills in their state.
Vermont, for being so small, has like more mills, probably more mills per capita.
Yeah. But even so, those mills are tapped out. So yes, the answer is yes.
And also there's been like a wave of larger mills closing in recent years. Islanders, the one in Maine, what is it called?
The one in Maine?
Yeah, anyways, Jaggerspun, I think.
Oh, Jaggerspun, but they didn't really do custom processing.
But yeah, but just in terms of mills, milling capacity, I would say overall is going down in this country in recent years. Just I mean, I'm not we should caveat all these with, we're going to talk about what we know, which is.
We're going to tell you our opinion. But I do think from the small mill point of view, small mills close, and I think they close because they're started by two friends of the same age or a husband and wife. And you can kind of set your clock of, is it going to last 15 years or 20 years? And then they move on and they want to sell the equipment, et cetera. So, but I do think that, so mills close for those reasons. But then I also think there are next generation. We get pretty regularly emails of people who are, on the cusp of buying equipment, so it comes and goes. At the end of the day, is closing outpacing opening? I don't know.
Well, let's talk about the first part of it. What advice do you wish would you give to someone who would love their own mill someday?
Have a partner.
Yeah, that's been huge.
Yeah, I really think whether it's
a husband, wife,
or a friend or whatever. I think having a partner to share the joys and the frustrations.
Like any small business, though, I would say, is like easier to do with a partner.
Yeah.
And you spread the risk, especially if it's not within the same household between folks. Other advice to someone starting out, I would say really research your equipment. There's like we have our opinions about, and you see the equipment that we have is like very hand selected for reasons. Mm-hmm. But there is a range of equipment you could get. Old mid-century American textile equipment. We have some of that's been refurbished.
Yep.
Green Mountain Spinnery is an example of a mill that runs with all pretty old-fashioned equipment.
Yep.
On a big scale. Think about the size of mill you'd want to start. What is your customer base like? If you want to do custom processing and you want to be able to take 6 sheep's worth of fleece, that's a very different set of mill equipment than starting, making yarn for a yarn line that you want to have thousands of skeins per batch.
And once you get the equipment, you're not going to want to move it again. So find a location where, if you're going to expand, you've got room to expand.
I'd also say it helps tremendously to find a place where you can be on town water and town septic. I mean, a lot of people start mills out of their farms and they make it work, but it is, if you're scouring your wool yourself, which is the standard, I would say, in small mills, it takes a lot of water, and you just want to not have that be a factor of like your septic system going out or something.
Right. Yeah.
And what do you wish you would have known before you started? I don't know. Nothing.
I don't work that way. I think Todd mentioned this to me the other day. I don't look back and look for regrets or any of that. I'm a forward-facing person, so
it's been a wild ride. I don't know. We would never have predicted that we'd end up here.
No.
I think where we ended up is swell. I love where we are right now, and we're still moving.
But it certainly isn't what we set out to do.
No, it isn't. But I also think that's part of it is like you get into the business and then you figure out like it's sort of like a river. Where does it make sense to flow?
Right. I guess what I would say though is unlike other businesses where you're not sure whether or not there's a business to be had there, you got to do your research. You got to make certain there are enough potential customers in your area. But because there's not enough mills, you should be able to get yourself in the black. Again, it depends on what kind of debt you've taken on to acquire the equipment, but there is a market. There is a market.
Also, there's a very handy Facebook group out there.
Yes.
Once you already have your mill set up, that has helped us a lot, the Fiber Mill Owner-Operator Group.
Yep.
And also, I would say, just a step back from that, when you're doing your research, other states probably have what we have in Vermont, which is a sheep and goat association, which is for primarily sheep farmers, but that would be a great place to sort of, like, once you join, and, you know, for us, it's like $30 a year or something.
$35 a year.
You get access to the listserv, and you can put out your question like, hey, is anyone, like, what's the deal with mills around here? And people would definitely respond.
Have an opinion, no question.
All right, we got to move on. We have
so many questions.
All right, what did you want to be when you were a kid? If you didn't open JFM, what other careers would you probably have now?
Why don't you go with that one? Because I'm old. I've had a lot of different careers. You've had several, too.
I've had several careers. What did I want to be when I was a kid? Probably a figure skater rock star combination.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, and I thought, and my mom definitely encouraged that. She was like, you're going to do it. You're going to be on ice. So I did figure skate as my sport my whole childhood and loved it. But that didn't ultimately seem like a good career path. So for those that don't know, I did go into international studies in college because I thought I'd travel the world forever. And then when I got sick of doing that, I learned how to do web development and graphic design, and I did that. And then I started the wool mill. So I guess
But you have traveled.
I did. I traveled a lot in my early 20s, and we still travel and try to, but for various reasons, a little less now. But I would say if I wasn't doing Junction Fiber Mill, I'd probably still be doing something in web development and design because I'm good at it, and it is a good, stable career right now. I don't know what the world looks like with AI and all that, but it's definitely changed since I left. But I still, with the mill, I get to scratch that itch quite a lot. So that's nice. What about you? Tell people what you did before, I guess.
Well, when I was a kid, there was a brief phase there where, for some reason, I wanted to be a judge. I think I
can see that.
I like the robes. But my career for the most part was in the television industry. For those in the Boston area, I worked at WCVB, which is the ABC affiliate. I worked there for 10 years, and then I was at Lifetime Television, which is a cable network that for many years. I did a side thing, quasi marketing in Boston, and then worked for Disney ABC running a network called the Live Well Network. So television's been my background. We moved
Hence the Millcast. No.
Yeah, well, you drove the Millcast. But we moved to Vermont to start a sheep farm. I was still working for Disney ABC at the time, but I'm 67 now. So I mean, I think that if I were not doing the mill right now,
you'd be kicking back and knitting.
I would probably be doing a lot more work with not-for-profits in the area and being retired, and I think I'd be traveling more.
And you still already do a lot of work for not-for-profits in the area?
Yeah, but I'm sort of more in the retired phase of my life, if you will.
It's funny, we got no questions about that, so maybe I think there's some interesting questions to be asked about that in the future. Yeah. Okay. What job, quote unquote, at the mill do you like most, and which one do you dislike the most?
When I read that, I was like, I'll tell you right now the one I dislike the most.
Okay, tell us.
Figure 8 knots. I don't know why. I can't stand. This is for when we have a custom processing where they're going to want to die.
Yeah, I want to vomit when I say
So you want to do a loose knot with the regular knot, and then the 180.
This is when you're skein winding. So when you're taking the yarn off the bobbins, and it's a good time to put these knots in so that people don't have to pick ours apart.
Right, nice loose knots. So
we charge extra for it. Probably not enough based on how much we hate it.
So that resonates with you.
Oh my God, yeah. We had to do. Well, I was actually going to say one of my favorite things to do is skein winding at the mill. I find it very satisfying to take yarn off of the bobbins, and especially if that's my only job, which sometimes it is, because I usually come in as like a pinch hitter sometimes. Is that the right phrase?
Sure.
And so often where we get like spots of buildup is like in the skein winding or the hanking or whatever, but Todd usually does most of that. But anyways, skein winding, you're just taking yarn off bobbins, and what we can do if we're really paying attention is do 14 at once, which is hard to do if you're doing other things at the same time. But I did 14 at once with the the knots with
Oh,
the figure eights.
whoa.
And there's, when we put the extra row of bobbins in front of the machine, it just makes the ergonomics of it even worse. And I was just like, I can't even, like, so I was like, I'm back to 8, so I did it slowly, but of course you do 14 at once, you get, you move along quicker and you clear bobbins faster, but I was like, it's still not even worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just move on. I think that's
my favorite changes.
Oh, your favorite, okay.
I find different ones give you different satisfaction. If I want to just get in the zone, I can card.
Yeah,
I can card for hours because it's productive. I like it.
Yeah.
So if you got the thing going right, picking and carding, I like that.
Yeah, carding is nice. Picking is nice. If it's a really lovely fleece, I do love to pick because that's the stage where you're standing behind the machine and you're taking the clean washed fleece and you're really handling it constantly, and so you get this like really satisfying experience of that fleece. So I love that.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right,
moving
next.
on. How do you two divide up the responsibilities of running the mill, both production and business sides? And did that occur naturally, or did you really plan it out together?
I think it's important to note that when we first opened the mill, it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we each were doing everything. There was no division. There
really wasn't much business running at that point.
Yeah,
either.
right.
It was
custom
like 5
processing
minutes a week of like generating invoices when we had stuff to do. But
and it wasn't like, oh, Amanda knows carding better, and we shared all of the responsibilities, and when something went wrong, we both would be like, we're going to really take this apart. And I feel that one advantage that we had, because we had almost 2 years of that, is that we really knew the equipment, and we really knew by then how yarn was made. Yeah. And so as we began to grow, it's like we both saw it the same way and knew. I'm talking about inside the mill. Yeah. If we're bringing someone in, they need to be trained in a way that we approach it. Safety, sequence, all of that.
Priority.
Yeah. I feel like where we started to have to make the divide is that as we were bringing on more people, it created HR issues that needed to be dealt with. There was, and then as the website was growing. When we decided
to launch our own yarn and put it online, there was like stuff that needed to happen with that every day. And I think naturally I gravitated toward the website stuff because I built the website. And then I was like, well, I might as well like handle most of the pick and pack at that time. So and then I trained you on it, so that was good. So I handled most of the website from the beginning, and then you were doing HR and
just the operations. Just sort of, okay, what are we working on next?
Who calls the plumber? Who?
Yeah, they're definitely keeping the lights on and things, and making certain production was possible. And I think it's also fair to say you really like setting up systems, and you're very, very good at it.
Yeah, so if there needed to be a system, usually there was like a pain point, but a lot of times it was identified by Peg, who was like more on the day-to-day operations side of things or whatever, and then I would like get into Airtable or whatever, make a laminated sheet.
Yeah, a laminated sheet of how to do something, and then update the laminated sheet. I would say, for me, I like troubleshooting. Oh, this needs to be fixed. Like right now, we have a sink that's leaking, a slow leak. Logan and I have done X, Y, and Z. It's a question of, do we need to bring the plumber in? I like doing that.
So I'd say it's happened very naturally. Yeah. There was a moment when we realized how much time we needed to start dedicating to the business. I think that was when we had our business coach, Carolyn, because that took some real time.
And that was a couple of years ago now.
And at that point, we were kind of both involved with everything. And I think that it started to, then we needed more mill labor, and we realized that we needed to divide and conquer more and have sort of keep ourselves on a need-to-know basis on certain things. Right. And so
but I do think the fact that we were working sort of, let's call it shoulder to shoulder for 2 years, we also got to know each other well, just in terms of our personalities and hot buttons, and in a way, like friends aren't going to know about each other that way. We kind of
there were tears, there was yelling, there was
not at each other.
I feel like we had some tense moments.
Yelling though. I don't know. I don't know. I would draw the line on yelling.
Maybe more tears.
Well, we definitely had conflicts that we had to resolve.
And I think there's a question later on about our relationship. Maybe we should just pull that one in now about Did I keep that one
Right
on
here?
here? Oh, it looks like you're great friends even outside of work. You do together. How do you manage that? How do you solve conflicts about the business while still remaining friends? And I would say, yeah, like I wish we had more time to hang out as friends than we do at this point. But my life is crazy. Your life is crazy.
Well, and your life is involves little kids and all that comes with that.
But I would say it's always fun when we get to have like a fiber festival weekend and you and I are like two little kids just like nerding out about our day and thinking about all the crazy possibilities in the future. But I would say like day to day, there's an amount of like we both tremendously respect each other. And I think you've instilled a really healthy way of like, if there's a conflict, we're dealing with it immediately as possible. We're just going to air it out and we're going to move on.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in a clean slate. If there's something, and it can be minor. But my theory is if you don't deal with the minor stuff, when something more serious comes on, it comes on top of the minor.
Yeah.
It all gets made more difficult. So
I'd say we have a lot of like, you know, if there's something that feels unresolved, there's a lot of like, let's step outside for a few minutes and chat.
Yeah, and I think there's always the interest of how are you doing?
Yes.
Just in general, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think we both can in a shorthand just say, not a great day, it's a good day, didn't get a lot of sleep.
Yep.
Or whatever's on our mind.
Respect that we're humans first and fiber mill owners
Don't you think?
second. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So,
I think that answers that, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on about, people had some questions. Oh, I do want to say, some people asked about how we met, and I'm not going to go into that here because we did a whole episode, Millcast episode 18.
Yeah, go back to 18. It's not at the beginning. Go in about 7 or 8 minutes, and it gets into the why is it that Amanda and I actually got to know each other as well as we did.
Yeah.
That would be episode 18.
Episode 18. Okay. Questions about color. We had a few questions, which are fun. How do you come up with new colorways? Who decides what the new colorway should be, and how far in advance do you plan your colors?
What we do today is so dang different from what we did in the beginning. I think we should start in the beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it was driven by just sort of what were our favorite colors, and you kind of skewed towards
earthy or orangey, or
right?
whatever.
And I'm the blues and purples.
And it was like, who was on our team at that moment? Like when Vicky was on the team, she came up with like some stuff we never would have that people absolutely love, like Vermont Vice.
That's Vicky all the way.
Anastasia, when she worked for us, came up with In the Clearing, which was like a very mellow, earthy, and we still have that on our shelves. So it was definitely like, we need new colors. Who wants to die today?
Yeah, and so it would start with very much your own personal inspiration. I mean, when I was doing Aurora Borealis, I was like, oh, I want to do the turquoise, Southwest colors. And the real challenge, though, was in the beginning, we had this little book, and we were sort of handwriting, and water would splatter on it, and maybe you modified it a little bit. And then you'd go to try to make it again. It was like, and I'm the most guilty of this. Well, I did kind of tweak it and probably didn't do great
use
notes.
all the dye here. So,
we learned pretty quickly as it was selling out that we had to have a good system for, hey, be as creative as you want, but damn, take good notes.
Yeah. We need grams down to the gram.
Yeah.
These things. And like, which blue did you use?
Yeah, and just to be clear, it wasn't also just about the colorway. It was actually, okay, how do we go about dyeing it? And I think we talked about it in the Millcast at one.
We every day, I feel like, are still like updating our system slightly.
Yeah, but we were using, propane outside until the fire marshal came by and shut down our crack cocaine out in the parking lot. And then trying to figure out, okay, if we move it inside, how do we do it and make it safe? And
now we're using induction burner. Anyway, but about the specific question, so who decides? So, and do you want to talk about now how it's a little bit different?
And so now it's evolved, and we still have a lot of. If you have an inspiration, if there's something you want to do, like Liz has just done recently, 2 kick-ass, very different colors. So still we're wide open to if you have an itch.
And usually there are like seasons for that. It's like when we're kind of stocked up on stuff, and so. As far as like, I think this question talks more about our marketing schedules in general. And like we have planned out at this point, we're talking about like January, February.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to stay about 6 months in advance now.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, it was definitely like, what are we doing next week? We didn't know. So we plan pretty far in advance at this point, and then it's like within that there's a lot of creativity.
Yeah. And then there'll be a festival that's coming up, and we'll know. Oh, we know we want a new color for that. You know, how are we doing? So if the festival's in October, starting in July, we're kind of like going, what do we want for that? Yeah. But it's still very much letting
Staff
team members, if they're into it, go for it.
Yeah, totally.
And we've gotten some gorgeous colors that way.
Yeah. How do we name the colorways?
Oh, geez. Again, in the beginning, it was you and I just sort of.
We were kind of like, let's try to keep it Vermonty. Like, we felt that was a very important part of our brand, still do.
Yeah.
So we try to pick things that are kind of nature inspired, in some way Vermonty.
But now we get the team very much involved. And we'll
especially like who dyed it. Like when Leah came up with Second Winter and named Second Winter, and it's such a Leah name and it's such a Leah color, and it's just, so it's fun when usually who dyes it will give us like a few options, and the team will look at it and chat.
And sometimes we're stumped and everybody stares at it, and then it's just a very funny riffing.
Yeah, totally.
It's hilarious.
Okay, what were your first colors in making tracks initially when you got started?
Well, Vermont Vice was an early one. I did one that had the word berry in it. What was the berry?
You did Berry Jam.
Berry Jam.
Which was like it's actually very similar to the Sugar Bush Sunrise color that we have now. Yeah. We just could not for the life of us replicate it. Like, people loved that color.
I could not replicate it. And it wasn't just that my notes weren't right. It was just something that I could not replicate.
It was magic the first time.
And it was a great color.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Leaves in the Brook was really early.
Oh, yeah.
Lookout Ledge was really early. The Deep
End was early. Yeah.
Vermont Vice was relatively early on.
Yeah.
So those ones have been around for, there weren't too many from the very beginning. I can remember us retiring. We kind of kept it. I think we had like a good group from the get-go. There's a sample of the Night Shift shawl that we bring with us everywhere that includes our first 6 colorways. That's right. Birdsong, that was one of them.
Oh yeah.
So you could see it in that shawl, and I can point people to analogous ones that we make today, even if it's slightly different. Okay, these are some in the weeds questions I think are kind of more rapid fire. What is the source of those maple candies that we send in the order? It is a company called Mount Mansfield Maple Products. So if you order from us online, you'll get a maple candy in there, and it's a Vermont-based company, and they make delicious stuff you can buy online. How do you find the wool that you bring to JFM to process? Do you contact sheep farmers? Do they contact you? Do all your fleeces come from the Northeast?
So both. We have farms that contact us saying, hey, I've got wool. Are you interested? We have somebody dropping off.
If you got wool, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We have someone who's got just a terrific flock of Shetland, and he's bringing in his wool for us to buy from him. We'll also go out and we'll be sourcing and looking. I had a woman, actually it was a shearer based out of, believe it or not, out of Kentucky, Natasha, and she reached out literally out of the blue asking would we be interested in long wool, and you and I have talked about it'd be great to have long wool, and it's not easy to find a large flock in New England. Long story short, the owner of the farm was going to be in New Hampshire, and she came by with this really, it's Lincoln, and we've got about 100 pounds, and it'll take us a couple months, but we're going to process some long wool, and that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, people.
I will say, I think my important note here is that definitely not all of the fleece we process comes from the Northeast, and specifically the fiber that's the base for making tracks and roots is actually not from the Northeast. That's from out in the sort of western, midwestern states,
South Dakota, Nevada,
Wyoming, and that's a blend of beautiful like Corriedale,
some Targhee, some Rambouillet.
Yeah, white wool. It's non-superwash. It's made, grown in the U.S., but we source that because we need such a high quantity of it to be able to process all of those
and that's
yarns.
being aggregated by like a depot. Actually, a lot of it's coming out of South Dakota, and then it gets shipped down to a company in South Carolina called Chargers, and Chargers is scouring it, which means getting the lanolin out, and then they're creating the comb top. And so we're buying it through a wholesaler out of Boston, and we're buying a lot of it.
We're in a new location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Town hall steps were getting a
little too much activity.
Yes. So here we are. They're mowing, and
but we'll jump back into the questions.
Okay. So thank you for bearing with us.
Yeah.
I think we just we're talking about where we got our fleeces.
Yeah.
Let's move on. How is the new scouring machine working out?
So the new scouring machine, it's kind of funky. It's this barrel on its side with a barrel inside of a barrel, And it's working out. It's working out. Basically, it helps us keep the sinks free because we use the sinks to rinse out all the yarns that we've done. It allows us to do some overnight dyeing.
It isn't plumbed in yet, though, so it is using one sink because it has to...
Yes, it ties up one sink when we have to fill it up and drain it.
Yeah.
So in general, it's working. We can do about 10 pounds an hour. It isn't a great solution for fibers that had a tremendous amount of lanolin like Corriedale and Merino, but we're right now going through some Romney, and man, 10 pounds at a time is sweet. So it's good. It's good. I was going to say, we have worked out a lot of the kinks. The next step is really kind of figuring out, okay, what's going to be the permanent structure for it with the water coming in and the water going out, and that's got to get resolved.
Okay. Moving on. Someone said, I just finished the barley field slipover in your Farm Fresh Luxe, held with a lace weight mohair silk blend. I'm very happy with it. The pattern calls for worsted weight held with lace weight. The yarn seems to be a worsted weight at 200 yards for 100 grams. Why do you label it DK? We get this question all the time. And frankly, we know it can knit just as well as a worsted as a DK. It is so crimpy, the fiber that we use for roots and making tracks, that when we do what we've been told to measure the yarn weight, which is wrap it around a ruler basically and get the wraps per inch, it measures as a DK weight. But it looks so fluffy that it it can basically expand to take up a worsted weight.
Right.
So that's why we started calling it a heavy DK, because we can't get it to do the worsted wraps per inch to call it a true worsted.
Right. And when we say crimpy, that is how the fiber from the breed that we're getting, and again, a lot of it's being driven by Corriedale, it's this tight little zigzag, and that zigzag is baked into the memory of that fiber. So when we're spinning it, it'll stretch out, but then when you rinse it, it boing, and comes up, and so you've got a very puffy yarn, but it's that puffiness is that zigzag, not that you have extra fibers in there,
right?
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. Probably it also just depends on experience, and I mean in terms of I don't know if a different yarn company may label it as a worsted weight through different means, but we use the ruler test and it comes out as a DK. So again,
we're sticking to it.
We did change to heavy DK, but I just want to say we know it's kind of a fat DK, and I think it makes a multi-purpose. You can use it for both.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I labeled the. Do we even want to get into these questions? I thought they could be interesting discussions, but maybe not.
Just the penny for our thoughts?
Yeah.
How dependent on the U.S. is the U.S. yarn industry on imports and domestic wool companies, and could domestic wool companies scale up on production? It's sort of two very different questions. And ironically, I was at the Woolly Thistle yesterday afternoon, and almost all their yarns are imported from Scotland, England.
That's their shtick.
Yeah, but they're getting hit with the tariffs. And they've said, what they told me was, you know what, it hasn't hurt their business at all, which is kind of interesting.
Did they have to raise prices because of it?
I didn't ask that.
Okay.
I didn't ask that.
Well, that's interesting.
But they have a 15% tariff on what they're importing right now. And Corinne said, business has been very good. So that's promising.
I will say, globally, wool consumption as part of the whole of fiber consumption is extremely low. It's less than 1% of the global fiber consumption. That includes polyester and cotton are the two big ones, and then everything on down. I mean, animal fibers make up such a small, vanishingly small percent, and it's been declining a lot over the years. So I don't know that there's even a huge, if you could even call it a huge demand in this country, but that's a really good question. I know that brands like Icebreaker and the sporty, merino wool is used in a lot of sporty brands. That is produced primarily in New Zealand, and I don't think you could easily start doing that in the U.S.
Right. No. So if you're talking about yarn production, I think there's, small mills are working it. But if you want to create a line of yarn in the United States that you could sell to not Joann's anymore, but to a Michael's, that's a huge investment to be able to service, 600 stores around the country. And I don't know, I'm not hearing anybody doing anything like that. Also, you may have a mill, but you then also have to have access to a dye facility to do the colors.
Well, and the scouring facility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hearing anything of.
So I think our country, you have brands like Pendleton, I believe, sources most of their wool from the U.S. I could be wrong on that again. This is why I call the section Penny for your thoughts. They're both like sourcing and doing a lot of their production within the U.S., and that's cool, but that's a very niche one brand thing. Same with the Faribault Woolen Mill that I visited last November. But I think other than that, it is pretty niche, small brands like ours who are working in small batches.
Right, but I'm
American
making
wool.
the distinction between yarn that for knitters to knit versus woven product. Like there's the woolen mill down in, I think it's Stafford, Connecticut, American Wool. Unbelievable. They have really state-of-the-art equipment. An Italian company came in and invested all. But I think they're kind of they're trying, but it's really high-end woven fabric.
So I think
it's pockets here and there.
So the second part was about like, is there enough wool and yarn manufacturers in the U.S. to meet domestic demand if imports are restricted by tariffs? And I would just say already wool is such a niche thing and such a relatively expensive product compared to the alternatives of cotton, polyester, that sort of thing. My concern is the tariffs is just going to make it even more niche and globally just increase the
access. It's going to limit access.
And people will probably just make things with substitutes, mostly polyester, that sort, which is a real bummer. I think wool is amazing and should have every chance it can have to succeed, whether it comes from New Zealand or not.
Yeah, so support your local yarn shops and go for wool. When in doubt, wool.
And you mentioned that tariffs are making things more difficult for small businesses. Do you think could eventually help encourage clothing/fiber production in this country? To which I say, sadly, no, I do not think so. I think that, again, I think that it is so cheap to produce things in basically to put the environmental burden onto other countries that even this amount of tariffs I don't think is going to make a huge difference. But I think maybe for people who are searching for luxury goods in that bracket, I don't know. I feel like at that point the 15% or whatever price difference is probably not going to sway them to shop American or not. For people like looking for the bottom line savings, I don't think this is going to make much of a difference.
Right, and again, I'm differentiating between making yarn versus making cloth that turns into the jacket. What I don't think you're going to see happen in the United States is somebody deciding to make the equipment for small mills.
Niche.
It's wildly niche, and there isn't going to be enough demand in the United States for small mills that would justify the incredible investment to make a line of equipment from, picker, carder, pin drafter, spinner, etc., and to make it in the United States. I think if we would do that.
If somehow we were able to, instead of tariffs, and maybe, again, this is not experts here, but like if there was ways to sort of include all of the stuff that I'll call like externalities into the cost of what people are buying. Like, let's say we, there are standards where we don't allow anything in this country that wouldn't pass our environmental standards. Then I think you might see a difference. I just think I don't know. The whole chain of it is so dispersed right now that I don't know how you start to bring that back here. So I don't know. I'm pessimistic that this is going to do much other than make wool and yarn more expensive. But that's my 2 cents.
But to be very clear, 100% of the product that we're working with is American wool. It is.
Yeah.
We're not
except
importing.
for some of the silk that we'll add from time to time, or
occasionally silk. Yes, but we're going to experiment with some linen. It's coming from Nova Scotia, and some Angora and some mohair. I mean, it's all American. Like 99.9%. It's 0.999.
Yeah, the only tariffs we expect to really face are in the past with this new equipment. And again, that's just going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, miscellaneous.
Yeah, what do we got?
Meg, how did you come up with the name Savage Hart Farm? And the person who submitted this, I edited it, had misspelled it, as I'm sure many people do, H-E-A-R-T.
Right.
So do you want to talk about that?
And I got to be clear. My husband Todd came up with the name before we had even moved. We had the property, and he was like, I've got the perfect name for it. We are on a small hill called Savage Hill. The locals don't call it, but on the topographical maps, it's identified as Savage because there still are savages living in, not not wild Indians, but it's a last name, a surname in our area, the Savages. And we're in Hartford, Vermont, H-A-R-T. So he said, how about Savage Hart, H-A-R-T Farm? And I was like, kind of sounds like a bodice buster, but he was so into it, and he was willing to move to Vermont to start a sheep farm kind of because I wanted to do it. I was like, oh, honey, go for it. And
super.
Yeah, and it's 13 years of Savage Hart Farm. Yeah.
All right, one more.
Yeah.
Peggy, if Amanda were a sheep, which should
this is the most bizarre.
she be, and vice versa? I thought it was kind of funny. I don't actually know what my answer is for you.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the distinct personalities.
Probably a Corriedale.
Yeah, I was going to say we're both Corriedales. Why? Because we own Corriedales.
Team Corriedale, right. Some great sheep, guys.
Yeah. Well, if you describe what a Corriedale is, it's considered a dual purpose. So far, okay. And it's big enough to produce, a carcass with significant meat, but it also has terrific fiber. So are we dual purpose kind of gals?
Probably not. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. We multitask. I don't know. Anyway, don't know how we answer that one.
I have a fine wool Shetland peg.
Oh, all right. Very, very good then. So I got to ask you, are there any questions you're surprised we didn't get that you wish we got? Yeah, okay.
Knit-along questions. I thought this was part of the knit-along, so nobody had anything to say about the knit-along, which is fine.
It was self-explanatory.
Great. I'm glad the pattern's working out with everyone.
Yeah, one thing it didn't come into a question, maybe it comes through in the Millcast. Are we enjoying ourselves?
Most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's been a wild journey. I have zero regrets, and it's taken us places we never envisioned when we first started.
It's really fun. It's really fun, and every day is a blessing with it, especially when you just get to work with such beautiful fiber. And
neither one of us, I think, had any clue of the community that we would end up
no, we thought we were just going to be you and I running equipment all day and not seeing anybody.
Yeah, and
except if a sheep farmer came
in the whole social community that we get to experience every time we go to a festival. It's like mind-blowing. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for joining us on this first Ask Me Anything. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. We will surely do this again at some point. Okay, now we're back here.
We got through a lot.
Oh my God, this is I don't have a timer going. It's probably an hour-long Millcast. Sorry, guys.
We covered a lot of ground, but that's okay. It's all good.
So we were knitting during the Ask Me Anything, but
how's your progress?
I split 4 sleeves.
Very good.
I am donezo with the color work because
I love it.
I can't be bothered right now, you guys. So this is she. I've tried it on. I didn't take a picture like you, but it is looking. I love the color.
Love it?
And I tried it on, and Cody was like, "Oh, it's a great color on you." So I was like, "Yeah."
A color she's never ever worn before.
Never, not the same color as my glasses.
I'm making progress. Not as much because I'm still on my first sleeve. It's right there. I only got a couple of inches. And the reason is, I usually do audiobooks, and again, thanks for all the great audiobook selection. But at my brother's, I came across a book that I was like, oh, I'd really like to read this. But it's like 500 pages. It's Eric Larson's Splendid in the Vial.
Okay.
World War II, England in World War II, and Winston Churchill's tremendous efforts to try to get the United States involved. Anyway, it's a great read, but I cannot knit while I'm reading, and so I've been just literally plowing my way through the book. So not
you're
so much
reading
knitting.
Physical.
I'm reading an actual book, turning
I'm
the actual
reading,
pages.
So many books right now, all of them physical. I don't have an audiobook that I'm working on, so this is like when I'm podcasting, I'll do this. But
I find that fascinating that you can have multiple books going at once.
Yeah, I stopped mid-chapter too. Breaking all the rules.
I am doing an audiobook that was recommended called The Correspondent. I think, because it's an audiobook, you're never quite sure where you're at. I think I'm a little more than halfway. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, so thanks for that recommendation.
Logan, one of our team members here, recommended Three Body Problem. It's the first book in a trilogy, and I tore through it last week. It's a sci-fi book. Oh. They made it into a Netflix show as well, but I really enjoyed it. The Three Body Problem. It's by a Chinese author. It's in translation.
I'm sorry. Todd and I saw it. The show? The show.
Like the show?
Yeah.
Don't tell me about it because I'm only on the second. I'm on the second book in the trilogy, and I don't know if
it's really good.
Yeah, it's very good. So that book is good. It'd probably be good in audio too. But I also wanted to share on a personal note that I signed up for with my buddy, my friend on the rise from my book club, Jed. The two of us signed up for a online Ulysses course.
Oh my
From
God.
now until next August, starting
You're
in October.
kidding.
So I have got it on my e-reader, and I'm getting the physical book. And
Wow.
we're gonna do it. It's an expensive course. It's through like the Center for Creative Fiction or something out of New York.
Okay.
And so I'm actually so excited because I love being a student, and I feel like this is so nice to invest in this like
Wow.
very unnecessary scholarly class about Ulysses. And I've never read it. It's James Joyce, and it's notoriously difficult to read, but also claimed to be the best novel of the 20th century. So
yeah,
I'm
I think
excited.
I gave it 3 pages and said, you know, I don't have it.
Yeah.
And I remember my daughter taking a course in college.
Oh, yeah?
And she said it was hard. But
Yeah.
anyway, you got plenty of time.
Cody's read it already, so he's
Oh,
like,
geez.
there, yeah, go for it. It'll be great. So he's gonna do bedtime every third Thursday, so I can log on to my Zoom
All right.
and participate. And then my friend Jen and I, after our Norwich bookstore book club, Deep Cuts, which meets once a month, will like have a little side conversation about our
Very
Ulysses.
good.
So I'm really excited. New friend, new totally random topic. It's gonna
Love
be
it.
great.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
We lied on the last episode. I checked our events calendar, and we do, in fact, have a scheduled open house.
Yes, we
so
do.
we should let you know.
Yeah.
It's November 8th, Saturday, November 8th, from 10 to 1 here.
Yep.
I think we scheduled it so far out in advance because there was like one knitting group that wanted to come and tour that day, and we're like, let's do an open house.
Yeah,
So-
we'll do it November 8th, and that will be,
Post
we'll have
Fiberfest.
survived the 3 big, Vermont, Rhinebeck, and Fiber Festival of New England.
And
So,
I think the construction will be done.
oh my God, let's hope so.
Oh God, it's gonna sneak up on us though. Mark my words, it'll be November 8th before you know it.
This is true. This is true.
But
Yeah.
we don't know anything past then. But yeah, just if you don't have it on your calendar already, Vermont Sheep and Wool,
Yeah.
October 4th and 5th, Rhinebeck the 18th, 19th, Fiber Festival of England, what, 1st and 2nd, I think,
Yeah,
of November?
the very first weekend in November.
And then
Right.
it's the open house.
And then the
so-
open house. Come on up for stick season. You've heard about it. Come experience it.
Oh, it'll be great. It'll be like freshly post-Halloween. It'll be creepy season here.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys.
take
See you
care.
next week.